Hey guys, what's going on? I'm just going to take a few minutes to go over some of the stages of my latest photo composite. Whenever I'm starting a new composite, I generally have one or two images that I've used for inspiration for the rest of the composite. In this case, I had this female assassin series that I photographed for stock photography, and I decided to select one of those images to base a composite around. Along with that, there was a local building that was being torn down just on public property. I decided to go over and take a few snapshots to merge the assassin with this backdrop of the demolished building. The next stage of the composite isn't necessarily the most fun for some people, but it's important because clean lines and the details is what separates you. It's what matters. And for this one, I zoom way in, and I've isolated the female assassin using the pen tool, and I just make a path or a couple paths if there's different holes to cut out. And then I generally feather a half pixel, and then I make a mask, and you can see the result of that here. As the composite progresses, I'm adding in more layers, more details. In this case, the background has some more debris layering in, all the while that's getting isolated and cut out and added, and things get moved around or nudged slightly. As the composite progresses, I'm thinking about my light source, so I've layered in some clouds that I've tinted just as an indicator where the light might be coming from, and so there'll be a strong backlight behind this building. I've toned down some of the foreground elements in the assassin because I want to start thinking about how I'm going to tint the overall image, and so I didn't want to be distracted by the colors of the assassin or the building. I want the sky to start influencing the color of the scene, and so I've taken some of the color out of those objects in order to start visualizing the overall color tone. Once the light source is established, I can start to sculpt and shape the light by darkening certain areas that I know will be in shadow and lightening areas that should be even brighter that emanate from the light source. One of my favorite things about doing composites is the unknown and trying to figure out what would the light look like in a given situation. And so that's part of the challenge and enjoyment of these, is like asking yourself, what would this scene look like given the light source? And so I continue to work on that and explore it throughout. I can spend quite a bit of time building up layers. For instance, on the assassin, it could take several layers of darkening and lightening areas to start to shape the light and get it the way I want it, and I often move around to different areas. As I'm working on the light, I'll also jump around and add elements, such as layering on the biohazard painting on the building to make it look like it had some graffiti. I'll also put some tattoos on the arms of the assassin, and so I'll kind of jump around as I see areas that I need to fill in, and that's just my process. Now that the light source is established and the light continues to develop, I've added some edge light to the model to further separate her from the background, and you can see that along the arms and hip and hair area. Next, I've started to add in some details, like for instance blood on the shoulder or a scrape mark. I've also started to add in some mist or smoke in the scene, and also some flares or little sparks that are kind of flowing or blowing around just to give a sense of atmosphere to the scene. Once the scene is complete and all the detailing is done, I start to think about finishing effects, and that generally involves color overlays. It could be sharpening or blurring certain areas. It could be a filter or some overpainting, and that just depends on the finished work and what I want it to look like, and so that can be many different things. Just wanted to take a moment to review all the photo sources that were used in the composite. You'll remember the assassin and the building from the beginning, but these were all the sources, and these were all original photos taken at different times. And just to wrap things up, I'll leave you with the finished work. I hope you've enjoyed this video. The composite did take several hours to complete, and these were fairly generalized steps, but I hope that you can use them in your composites in the future. So good luck.